I really believe that our family is a family in recovery, and that is so important. That's one of the bases of Navigate Recovery, is that we believe that every family member plays a role in this, where it's a family illness, and we're all affected. We all express it in different ways. My children have suppressed a lot of the emotions of growing up with a sister who from 16 on was completely out of control. She struggled mightily, and we struggled mightily to find her help, to keep her alive many times, and that really impacted the rest of the family as well. One of the things that I love is seeing some Navigate Recovery shirts in the background. It reminds me of just how faithful family members can be. I've seen a lot of people come to Navigate Recovery meetings whose family member was very, very lost and very, very far from recovery. And as the people came for their family member, trying to figure out what was wrong with them so they could fix them, they suddenly started realizing that they were there for themselves. And there are several that are just so amazing to me. In a matter of just 6 months, they've turned their lives around, and their families are turning around as well. Now, did they come in to change their family member? Maybe at first, but as they started to see that this was also some things about them that they could do differently, maybe they could draw a better boundary, maybe they could communicate more clearly, maybe they could educate themselves on the science of addiction and recovery, the brain chemistry. That sets so many parents and loved ones free from believing that this person with addiction was doing this to them. When you don't think someone's doing it to you, it really sets you free to love them and accept that they have an illness. And then in turn, sometimes that person responds differently. And I've seen that happen a lot. One of the things that my daughter told me just this past weekend about her addiction, I was reminiscing about a time when she was 17 and I had told her she couldn't go to spring break, Panama City. And so she decided to jump in a stolen car with a bunch of other kids and go anyway. She took off. I eventually found out where she was. And the way I found out was she called me from McDonald's. The police had taken the car away and several of the kids to jail, but she'd been in the McDonald's in her bikini, and now she needed a ride home. And I naturally wanted to go get my gorgeous 17-year-old daughter in her bikini in Panama City all alone immediately, but we paused, we thought about it, and we started negotiating. We said, well, we'll come get you if you're willing to get help. And she said, I'm not, I'll stay here. It's okay, I have a lot of friends down here. That didn't work, so then she'd call again and kind of, well, you know, I really don't have any clothes that were in the car. And our minds are going crazy with all the images of her wandering around the streets in Panama City. And we said, well, you know, are you ready to get that help yet? We've actually called someone. They're willing to take you immediately. We'll come pick you up. You'll go straight there. We've got it figured out. She said, no thanks. I'm not going anywhere. I just want to come home and get some clothes. And finally, at the end, you know, she got her own ride back. Our efforts to negotiate with her were not successful. And I was bemoaning that fact over the weekend. I said, remember that time, Panama City? That was so frustrating. I felt like I was doing such a good job drawing a boundary, and, you know, I wanted to woo you back, and I thought that this would be your time. And she said, you know, Mom, it didn't work at the time. She said, but I would resent you right now if you hadn't drawn that boundary. She said, every boundary that you drew for me meant something to me. It means something to me now. And that was a really great feeling to know that what had seemed so helpless and hopeless and that we weren't making a difference at all comes full circle. And we did make a difference in her life. And now she has the ability to draw boundaries with the people that she works with in recovery. And it's a really neat thing to see her say, I can allow this in my house, but I won't allow that in my house. It comes full circle. So the paradox is that how do we stay connected but still maintain those boundaries? And each family has to work that out for themselves, but I don't think you can do it alone like Heather said. I think it has to be in community that we learn from each other and grow. I don't know if any of you have family members that struggle with addiction, but they tend to be able to divide and conquer the rest of the family. And so there is all of this drama and all these things always going on with the family that is struggling with addiction. One of the things that I think Farley and I did right was we maintained a unified front. Sometimes that was not easy. Sometimes we had to go into the bedroom and box it out for our own way. But it really did help because at times I got so tired from dealing with addiction that I had to turn it over to Farley for a while and just take a break. I had to say, I can't take any more calls for a while, and if she calls, I handed my phone over. I just could not do it all the time sometimes. Things got so bad with my daughter that eventually I had to take a little bit longer break. I decided that, for a couple of months, I just could not talk to her. I said, I love you. I want you well so badly, but I cannot watch you killing yourself, and I just need to take a break. And I remember during that break, my birthday came around, and I thought, well, for my birthday, I want to see my daughter. And it was the first time I was able to draw a boundary and then realize, wait, this is a flexible boundary. I can change it if I want to. So I changed it for my birthday. And I met her at Applebee's, and she looked very bad. She was really messed up. But, I sat there, and I just loved her. I just loved her. And it was my gift to me. And then I had to take her back to a trailer in Buford and drop her off. It was a really, really hard day. And yet, I think that's what the bottom line is, that love will conquer a lot. As I sat on the patio of my middle daughter's house in Austin this weekend, a lot of things came out. Because like I said, as my daughter's gotten better, the other siblings are now raising their hands and saying, guess what I went through? It's really hard for my daughter to hear. It's hard for me to hear that we were absentee parents, really, from the other siblings a lot of the time because we were trying to save this child's life for so long, and she was such a focus. But I think if I had to do it all over again, I would carve out that time for those other kids. I would spend more quality time with them that wasn't focused on, oh my gosh, where are we going to get help? What are we going to do? How are we going to handle this? Because it's caused a real dynamic with them. They love each other so much, and yet there's still that resentment that they're all having to work through. And, it's okay to take breaks sometimes when you have a loved one in recovery. We all need a break. But I think more than anything, we need support. And we offer several support groups that Navigate Recovery. We offer them on Wednesday and Thursday nights. They're called All Recovery Meetings. And what's really neat about an All Recovery meeting is that people that struggle with addiction or in recovery from addiction or family members and friends are all welcome. So I was really nervous about that dynamic when we started the first one, but it's a beautiful thing because what happens is that family members get to see people recover in recovery, and they get hope from that. And then people that are struggling with addiction see the family members and what they go through on the other side, and they become more compassionate, and they understand better what they're putting their families through. And it's a beautiful dynamic that I think is community. That's what community is all about. And as we sat on that patio over the weekend and talked about some really hard stuff, the bottom line was that we all agreed that we all loved each other and that I was a great mom. Some of the things that Navigate Recovery is up to right now, we're launching a program called Lifeline in the emergency department. So when somebody overdoses on an opiate, the hospital will call us, and within 30 to 60 minutes, we will be there. We will connect with the person and offer support. We'll walk alongside them for as long as they'll have us, and we'll also try to connect them to resources in the community that they may not know about. We have a goal and a dream to be inside the jail next year, doing the same type of thing, connecting with people while they're in jail, creating a plan for recovery when they get out so that, you know, the danger of overdose is so high when someone gets out of jail or in the hospital, and so we want to be there for that. And then another initiative that we are working on is navigate recovery inside businesses. We want to make it a safe thing to talk about addiction in business. We all have to collaborate. Every sector of our community is impacted by addiction on a daily basis, and the solution lies within all of us. I'd also like to invite you to our table with our awesome volunteers and recovery coaches when this is over. We have naloxone training out there. If you do love someone with an opiate issue, I highly recommend that you get your free naloxone tonight and be trained on how to administer it, because you may save a life. Thank you so much.